Next guest has quite a story to tell. Last year in July, Bill Hillman was gored by a bull during the famous running of the bulls in Spain. This near-death experience did not stop him, though. He returned this year again. What were you thinking, Bill? If I was your mom, I'd say,
Or your wife.
But he said he had a slightly different approach this year.
Yeah, we are here now with Bill. In addition to being chased by dangerous animals, he's also a journalist and an author. And he wrote this book, Mozos. Did I say it right? Is it Mozos, A Decade Running with the Bulls of Spain? It must be exhilarating or something that you keep going back for more and more. Even after being gored almost to death, you still want to run with those bulls.
Yeah, you know, it's become really a spiritual experience for me, you know, and I really love it. I'm deeply immersed in the culture there. I've got a lot of friends from Pamplona that I'm very close with.
And your wife stays with you, even though you insist on running with bulls?
Yeah, well, actually, this year she went to India when I was running with the bulls, so she could be as far away as humanly possible.
Yeah, isn't she here with you today?
Yeah, she's right over there.
Do you like that he runs with bulls? No, she doesn't like it.
No, she hates it.
Yeah.
So one of these times, maybe you'll have to stop.
All right, she's like, yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about being gored by a bull.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people who watch this as a spectator sport, it's very exciting to see the bulls running and the people. But don't you feel like people are sort of waiting to see someone be... Where did you get gored, by the way?
Mid-thigh once here and then once under the knee.
Okay, it hurt?
No, actually, I felt absolutely no pain. I felt like a little pinprick and then nothing.
Oh my gosh. Well, did you fall or did someone drag you off or did you keep running? What did you do?
Well, I sort of fell and that's when the bull gored me. I fell on my back and the bull gored me in the thigh. But then actually right away a medic pulled me under the barricades. I was lucky to be next to the barricades.
Is it kind of a cool thing with your friends to say you were gored by a bull? Is it kind of a macho thing?
Well, sure, it's one of those scars. Look at this. I got this being gored by a bull.
Do you feel pretty cool having been gored by a bull?
Well, I would have rather not to have been gored by a bull, but there is a little bit of a sort of an allure to it, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
It makes you feel cooler.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to the title, Mozo. What does that mean? What is that in bull talk?
A mozo is a nickname for bull runners, but the deepest translation is servant, and that's what we are. We're servants of the animals and servants of the bull run.
You kind of get it going. Explain the role of that person in the running of the bulls.
Well, what we're trying to do is to create what the Spanish call an encierro, which is an enclosure. So we're trying to create an enclosure of human bodies around the pack to kind of keep the herd together, protect it, and keep it moving in the right direction up the street and lead it up the street.
Okay. What's the Hemingway connection? There's a big connection here to your book and your experience with Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah, well, the first book I ever read was Ernest Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises, and it changed my life. I didn't read a book until I was 20 years old, and that was the first one I read, and I read it in one sitting, and after that I decided to become a writer and to go to Spain and run with the bulls.
Yeah, see, being a writer is safer than if you could separate the two, right? No. You had a different approach, though, this year when you went back. How were things different for you having had that experience of being hurt?
Well, you know, it was much more difficult this year. You know, I was a lot more like afraid. I was I was more prone to panic when I was in a stressful situation, and I was like sort of diving out to the sides instead of sort of running the center of the street like I normally do.
So it did affect you that much?
It really did. I thought in my conscious mind I thought I was ready, but once I got out there, I was like, whoa, like I definitely wasn't ready. But as the week progressed, by the 7th day, I kind of settled in, and I finally had a really good run where I ran up the center of the street and led a bull up the street.
You did it 7 days in a row?
Yeah, 8 actually, but yeah, on the 7th was my breakthrough.
How far is it that you're running?
It's about 800 yards, and but you only able to run about maybe 50 to 100 if you're lucky.
Because then you just got to get out of the way, or what? Or the bell's already in front of you?
The bull will pass you. The bull will, it'll catch up to you. They're a lot faster than people.
And what's the point of it for people who don't know the history or the culture of it? What is the point of running with bulls?
Well, it's a deep sort of tradition based on ancient corral hunting, which is practiced throughout the world in the ancient world, where they would try to drive animals into traps or off cliffs in order to to kill them easier and to kill large groups of animals at once.
So you used to be a boxer, right?
Yes.
And you said that running with the bulls helps you connect spiritually. So you really had a switch in your life of what you did.
Yeah. The year I stopped boxing was the first year that I ran with the bulls, and I sort of took the place of that in my life as sort of a physical sort of a hobby, and something that I was very passionate about.
Will you go back and do it again? And do you write about it each time that you go?
Yes, I do. I always write about it, and yes, I'm going to keep going back. I plan to, even though it's definitely changed for me. It's become much more it's been much tougher to run. But at the same time, I always embrace a challenge, so I expect to keep going back.
Do you have to be a certain age to do it? I'm wondering about the youngest person you see there and the oldest person.
Yeah, you know, there's as young as 18 usually is the limit.
Yeah.
But as old as people in their 70s and 80s will still keep running.
Wow.
So in your book, you talk about tips for someone who's never run with the bulls before. What would you say to them?
Yeah, for beginners
Newbies,
out there
like
who
if
want to
Molly
run
wanted
with
to go
bulls. Yeah.
run with the
What
bulls.
would you suggest?
The most important rule
Don't
in bull
wear
riding,
red?
yeah, that can help. But
Okay.
the most important thing is if you fall down, stay down.
Really?
Yeah, it goes against your sort of intuition.
Yeah,
but
because you think you're going to get trampled.
yeah, actually, the bulls see really good where they set their feet. They have real good vision below their snout, and so that when they see debris in the road, they try to jump over it.
That's a really good point. That's a really good tip, actually.
Debris.
If you fall, which people would do, just
Stay down.
But if you get up, the problem is if you get up, you'll get the bulls will likely gore you in the vitals. It's really dangerous.
Stay down, cover your head.
Yeah, you don't want to be gored in the vitals, right?
It's kind of close with you, right?
This is an awesome opportunity. People are actually able to meet you tonight, to
Yeah.
talk to you, to ask all the questions that we didn't ask you and didn't have time to, because you're going to be at Boswell Book Company on North Downer Avenue right here in Milwaukee. Again, it's at 5:30 tonight. You can find out more by visiting Bill's website, billhillman.com, and Hillman is with 2 N's. A wonderful book for people to check out and find out about something that maybe they've never heard of before. Great to meet you.
Thanks so much. Oh yeah, and I also want to say that Mel at Bosworth Books, she's a bookseller. I've worked with booksellers all over the world, and she's one of the best I've ever encountered. So she's a real treasure from Milwaukee.
That's
Nice,
great.
nice.
They know how to do it in Milwaukee, huh? That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
that. Great to meet you, Bill. Thank
Thanks,
you
Bill.
so much.